Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Badass Media Production Season 5, the first episode of 2018. So in this episode I want to look back at Matthew Vaughn's version of Days of Future Past. And first off, I'm just going to say I really enjoyed Bryan Singer's take on Days of Future Past, and I think it's one of the best X-Men movies we have as of today. It's a really good film and I really enjoyed it. But I wanted to look at what Matthew Vaughn's version of the movie would have been like. Okay, as we all know, X-Men First Class was directed by Matthew Vaughn, and he himself was going to be directing a full trilogy following a much younger version of both Charles Xavier and Eric Lecter. Played by James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender, both introduced in X-Men First Class. According to interviews, Matthew Vaughn, who pretty much created the whole story arc for Days of Future Past, said that 90% of the story did come across in the final version of the movie. One of the big changes was, in fact, like an action set piece. And that action set piece in the original Matthew Vaughn version was, of course, going to be with Juggernaut. And instead, in the final version, we did, of course, get Quicksilver. So, the sense of scale would have been very different. With Juggernaut, we would have got a greater sense of destruction, a greater sense of power. And of course, with the final version, in which we got Quicksilver, we got a very stylish scene, a very fun, stylish scene, and actually one of the best scenes of the X-Men franchise. The actor who was going to play Juggernaut was going to be Josh Hellman. Josh Hellman, of course, later went on to play William Strider in Days of Future Past. Honestly, I feel like William Strider's role in the film, it feels like it's something as a fan service. It's like he's there because we recognize the name, and he was in previous X-Men, because his role in X-Men Days of Future Past, it doesn't play a major role in the story arc. The same can be said for Toad. Toad appears very briefly in X-Men Days of Future Past, and I feel that is more of a kind of a fan kind of add-in, a little fan Easter egg, and something I don't think Matthew Vaughn would have done. I do feel that we would have definitely seen the return of Jason Fleming as Azazel, and of course January Jones as Emma Frost. Due to the events of Hunger Games, we did see a massive surge of popularity with Jennifer Lawrence, and I feel if Matthew Vaughn shot the film earlier, and if he did direct the film, I feel her role as Mystique would have been a lot smaller than, of course, Bryan Singer's final version of the movie, because I feel that they were really selling the fact that Jennifer Lawrence was becoming a bigger actress, and they really played into that really well. I feel that the decision to have Professor X, Charles Xavier, walking in Days of Future Past, I feel Matthew Vaughn wouldn't have done that. Matthew Vaughn, in the third act of X-Men First Class, he paralyzed Charles Xavier. That was his decision. I generally feel that he would have continued that trend if he did direct X-Men Days of Future Past. I feel Charles Xavier still would have been paralyzed. So I feel that would have been, I think it's Bryan Singer's decision that made, of course, a walking, Charles Xavier. One of the biggest changes for me was Michael Fassbender's performance as Magneto. It's a lot more low-key, it's a lot more subtle, it's a lot softer around the edges. He's more Ian McKellen-like in Days of Future Past. In X-Men First Class, James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender, they were given infinite freedom with both the role of Charles Xavier and Eric Lecter, and you could really tell, because both of them, they brought something fresh and original and a completely original spin on these iconic characters. In X-Men First Class, Michael Fassbender gives this wonderful raw performance as Magneto, and we don't really see that in Days of Future Past, and it's mainly because of the controversial beach scene in X-Men First Class, in which Michael Fassbender's Irish accent slips out and we get the iconic "Didn't mean out there, Charles." I feel that's one of the reasons why they kind of changed Michael Fassbender's performance in Days of Future Past. I also feel the costumes would have been different. With First Class, Matthew Vaughn introduced colour to the costumes, the yellow-blue costumes, which were faithful to the original First Class story arc, the comic arc. And I feel we may have even gotten Hugh Jackman in a wonderful yellow and black spandex costume that we would have seen in the comics if Matthew Vaughn would have directed it. I feel he may have went that direction, I'm not 100% sure. While the set pieces were great in Days of Future Past, I feel they would be better, bigger in scale with Matthew Vaughn. I feel there would be less editing and more longer tracking shots, more longer takes, just longer kind of segments. I feel they would have been better and bigger in scale. There's nothing wrong with the set pieces in Days of Future Past. I just feel they would be even better with Matthew Vaughn behind the helm. I also feel Henry Jackman would have definitely returned as composer. I feel his work on X-Men First Class was absolutely flawless, and we would have gotten that wonderful team, that leitmotif, McNeil's leitmotif, that would have returned, because Days of Future Past is sorely missing that wonderful, iconic theme song. It was such an incredible leitmotif. So just those are some of the changes I feel that would have actually occurred with Matthew Vaughn's version of Days of Future Past. While some of it has been confirmed, the other things are my own opinion. That's how I feel about Matthew Vaughn's version of Days of Future Past. So guys, would you like to see Matthew Vaughn's version of Days of Future Past? Put that in the comments section below and tell me how you feel about the theatre version, the final version we did see in theatres, directed by Bryan Singer. Tell me what you felt about that film. Thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you like what you see.